sort of an evolution from the Legacy Plus. It's a inline console, and so it's 2 inputs per channel strip. We refer to them as large and small. We normally mic preamp in the compressor into the small, thinking that'll be a record path most likely, and then we bring the line into the large. You can flip, so you can flip those either way. The direct out is assignable from the large or small. We added a new feature of direct out pre. That was something new on this console. It allows you, if you are using the direct out as your record path, which we intended it to, it allows you to bypass as much as possible and get basically the shortest path from your mic preamp. The 500 slot is the EQ, is a standard in the large, but you can ascend it to the small. And then if you go direct out post, which is not pre, then the EQ would be in that path. But there's nothing that says you couldn't throw a compressor or something in there. I mean, we obviously offer the dynamic, be it compressor or gate. The small, as far as high pass, there's a variable high pass on the large fader, which is taken from the Vision, and just the fixed frequency, same as the 1608 in the sense it has a fixed frequency on the small. Both have a trim like all the large format consoles do. There is insert on both large and small, and that is recallable in the automation system. The small input, if you're not using the mic pre, we offer something called an alt line input, which is just another line input, not bypassing the mic pre and coming in that way. So on a 32 input frame like this, during mixdown, you could have 64 mono inputs for mixing, and that doesn't even get into the 6 stereo returns. Have 12 auxes, exactly the same as a Legacy Plus. First 6 mono, last 6 stereo level pan. You can take the small fader into the upper set. The lower set is always large fader. Pre-post, the 200 slot, dynamic slot compressor most of the time. Normally, as I said, into the small, but you can flip that into the large. So there's a lot of flexibility of moving those two things into either path. And that can be done locally here, and some of them globally as well. You can do an entire console flip if you want. You can set the alt line input on everything if you want. You can clear it. You can protect channels with safe from those functions as well. You can do the compressor large globally as well. We do offer a compressor bypass, which literally takes it out of the path, and then you could patch that slot around if you really wanted to. Stereo, 3 stereo buses assignable. Both large and small can assign to the stereo, and then 24 buses, only large or small to the 24 bus. That's selectable right there. 24 bus masters up here, 3 stereo bus masters, and then you have a grand master. They assign down from your 3 stereos, faders for your stereos and grand masters. Your 12 aux masters are across here. You can AFL those if you want here, but you can also monitor some of them down here. Then this is the new cool thing. We have 6 stereo returns on this console that are with automated large fader and automated insert. In a strict traditional sense, you know, you have 12 auxes or 6 stereos if you want, so you can bring 6 stereo returns back. You can feed just straight into them. They show up on the patch bay right here, 6 stereo inputs. So if you had, say, stereo stem somebody provided you, you could have a 6 stereo submix here. These 6 are assignable to the 3 stereo A, B, and C and the Grand Master. So the Grand Master effectively has 9 stereo inputs to it, 10 if you count its own external in. Those 9 are the 3 stereo buses and then the 6 stereo returns. And then one other cool little thing we do is we have a bus button here, and what that does is it would take buses 1 and 2 and assign them directly within the console, no patching necessary, as the input here, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You could then use them as bus masters, but because they have an insert, and that insert is also under automation control, you could insert compressors here, start running some parallel compression under automation right in the console in front of you. All your standard monitoring, you can do program monitoring of ABC Grandmaster plus those last 3 stereo AXS, so if you're running Q mixes out of there, you can pull those up quickly without having to go up and AFL them up here. 4 2-track returns, 2 6-tracks, so you can actually set the monitoring up in surround. The only inputs in the console that are surround are the 2 6-tracks though, so it's just for monitoring. There's no mixing of it here. Main stereo plus 2 alt stereos with level trims, a studio output as well. Sort of circling back the direct out pre, I wanted, if I was going to let you record that, I wanted you to be able to solo it. So we have traditional PFL, so you have AFL, you go PFL, which is literally just in front of the fader, or you can go PFL2, which is further up the path to the point where that pre is. So you can solo it and monitor it if you need to on the meters or things. Standard solo in place. Have a mix over for the solo so that if you want to continue whatever program you're listening to at a reduced level when you solo a channel, that's what that would do. It's a cool little feature. Bypass, or 0 dBs. So we've added in a few consoles. Again, we talked about the alt line input into the smalls, but these are manual faders. So there's a 0 dB small, and what that does is basically bypasses the fader at unity on all the smalls. So if you have some automation written in your DAW for those, and then you can have the automation here, and can all sort of work together. And then just some VU selections up there, talkback assignments and all that stuff. The 1608 has the screen and all the hard buttons. This basically is just taken the hard buttons and put them all into the touch screen, and it's actually working out really good for us. It also incorporates the DAW controller, bringing in the labeling of the DAW, so I can go in and out that way. But this is really an evolution of that 1608 system. The Vision system still has the external computer, but the Vision, so with the 1608, the only things you can control are the fader, the mute, and the insert. With this, you can do a fader, large and small mute, large and small insert. So basically 4 switches on a channel plus the fader. A Vision, you can control 2 faders plus 14 switches on the module, plus another 32 switches on all the routing. So they're all sort of an evolution from that Uptown system of years ago. So the automation runs itself and controls the fader and the levels here, but the DAW function is, which is the control of faders and a few other select and write enable functions, is done over the Huey protocol. Okay. And that's consistent from the 1608 to the AXS to the Vision, because that's the way Pro Tools lets outside manufacturers talk to it. And audio running through these faders, motorize everything. There's a row here that's tie line in, and there's a row here which is multi-track out. And those normal to the mic pre-in and the line in, but you can obviously patch them. Early on, they appeared at the back as a connection, so we achieved the normal, you just couldn't patch it. We have an optional 1 extra row that fits in ours that you could use for additional tie lines or whatever. Speaking of a channel, it controls the channel mute. You can override it, but it controls the channel mute. But in a DAW mode, this switch can actually do a different function. But yeah, these are the mutes that would be written into the automation on the channel, and the same thing up here. We just have separate buttons down here, whereas this is just the one button here. So, and the insert as well, that goes into the automation is controlling this right now. It's a soft button.